all of you who have joined the IMA because of the film Lakshya, put your hand up. And almost 60 to 70% people of cadets put their hand up. The educated class is not sending people, their children into the army anymore. So he said, Acha, so he said, I didn't know this, and if that is true, that's very sad, and I'm going to write a film to inspire people to join the army. So that's how we started writing Lakshya.
There were these traditional distributors who would watch the movie, and we very proudly showed the movie where people would not show films. So we thought we have such big stars, let's call them in, show them what we made. And I think almost 6 of them saw the movie and left the film. They said, a film kabhi chalegi nahi.
Dil Chahta Hai.
Yeah, and that's how the Excel distribution team with Anil Thadani started.
So we start filming Dawn 3 next year. Yeah, really looking forward to it.
When I watched Lakshya in 2004, little did I know that 20 years later, I'll get to speak to the creators of this classic. Without wasting much of my time, can we please put our hands together for Farhan Akhtar and Ritesh Sidhwani.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for watching the film after 20 years. You all are the first lot of people to watch it in a theatre 20 years later. So it makes it very special to be here and share this moment with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you to the audience. Thank you again from everyone's end. Farhan, I want to start the conversation by asking you the question. When Javed Akhtar sir came to you and told you that he wants to make a film on this subject, how did you react and what made you pick this as your second directorial after Dil Chahta Hai?
To be honest, जब मैंने दिल चाहता है बनाई थी तो वो एक मतलब जुनून था उस फिल्म का. मुझे पता नहीं था कि अगर दिल चाहता है के बाद अगर मैं फिल्म मेकिंग करूँगा भी कि नहीं करूँगा. इट वाज जस्ट दैट वन फिल्म दैट आई रियली वांटेड टू मेक. तो जब वो फिल्म रिलीज़ हुई, लोगों को फिल्म पसंद आई, सब ने कहा कि अब क्या करने वाले हो, क्या करोगे, लाइक दे आस्किंग करण शेरगिल इन द फिल्म. तो मैं बहुत कंफ्यूज था कि मतलब मैं क्या करूँ, बिकॉज आई हैड नॉट प्लान फॉर अ सेकेंड फिल्म. मैंने ऐसा कुछ सोचा नहीं था. मैंने सोचा अगर दिल चाहता है नहीं चली तो मैं सब बैग पैक करके वापस अपना एडी बन जाऊँगा, देयर इज़ नो इशू. लेकिन वो पिक्चर कामयाब हुई. सो मैं बहुत खोया हुआ सा था कि मुझे क्या करना चाहिए लाइफ में, किस तरह की फ़िल्म बनानी चाहिए. और तब मेरी मुलाकात हुई. वन इवनिंग आई वाज विद माय फादर और उन्होंने कहा कि तुम क्या बनाने वाले हो. तो मैंने कहा मैं सोच रहा हूँ, आई एम नॉट श्योर. तो ये सर एक कहानी है मेरे पास जो मैं कुछ पिछले 6-7 महीने से आई बिन पुटिंग इट टुगेदर. तो तुम सुन लो, अगर तुम्हें पसंद आए तो तुम कर लेना. तो मैंने कहा ठीक है, मैं सुन लेता हूँ. तो मैंने सुनी वो कहानी एंड आई इमीडिएटली कनेक्टेड टू द कन्फ्यूजन ऑफ करण शेरगिल. दैट वाज द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट आई कनेक्टेड टू. नॉट ओनली बिकॉज ऑफ वो उस दौरान मैं भी कुछ कन्फ्यूजन से गुजर रहा था उस दौरान, वो भी हो रहा था. लेकिन लाइफ में भी रितेश तो मतलब मेरा स्कूल का दोस्त है, ही कैन वाउच फॉर दिस फैक्ट कि मतलब कुछ प्लान नहीं था मेरा लाइफ में फॉर अ वाइल कि मैं क्या करूँगा. तो मैं वो समझ सकता था कि ये जो इशू है इस कैरेक्टर का वो क्या है. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो कुछ नहीं करना चाहता, लेकिन जो एक कॉलिंग होती है लाइफ में वो भी बहुत ज़रूरी होती है कि जब आपको पता चलता है कि हाँ यार ये है वो जो काम मुझे अपने लाइफ में करना है. तो आई कुड रिलेट टू दैट एंड दैट्स हाउ आई गॉट इनटू द फिल्म.
And how did you react? Like you said, you connected to the character so well. What led to that connect? Because when I was inside the audience, seeing the audience reactions, I could see so many people cry even now while watching the film. It has been 20 years and the emotions are still connecting. So what was it like for you emotionally?
It really was an incredible journey. One, to be honest, is it was impossible to have made this film without the help of the armed forces. So their belief in the story gave us a lot of strength and a lot of courage. To have a cast like you have seen in the film, to have the crew who are behind the scenes, without their energy and without their support, it was impossible to have made this movie. It was a difficult film to make. तो जैसे I genuinely believe this and I don't speak only for myself because मैं मतलब बहुत ऋतिक से तो मिला हूँ, प्रीति से and many other people who have worked on this film behind the scenes as well. All of us grew up during the making of this movie. We were different people before this film started and we were different people when the film ended. It demanded so much. It demanded maturity, it demanded commitment and discipline and dedication to another level. So all of us grew up and we understood what filmmaking is truly about. दिल चाहता है मतलब ऑफ कोर्स वाज अ फन फिल्म, मगर वो निकल गई ऐसे, यू नो, मतलब मजे मजे में फिल्म बन गई, बिकॉज इट वाज दैट काइंड ऑफ फिल्म एज वेल. वी डिडंट अंडरस्टैंड एट दैट पॉइंट व्हाट इट टेक्स to really when you know when you're challenged by something to put it together. So that was that. But for me, emotions are universal. Emotions are timeless. जो एक फादर सन की रिलेशनशिप है इस फिल्म में, जो एक दो पार्टनर्स, दो लवर्स की रिलेशनशिप है फिल्म में, दैट इज़ रिलेटेबल थ्रू टाइम, क्योंकि ऑल ऑफ अस एट सम पॉइंट इन आवर लाइफ नीड सपोर्ट, नीड हेल्प, नीड अ पैट ऑन द बैक. You know, so that's something I'm sure that everybody can relate to even now.
Absolutely. You spoke about the cast. I think Ritesh, you worked with Farhan extensively over the years, and I think casting is one thing which you looked into, and this is a big ensemble over here. From Amit ji to Amrish Puri sir, from Hrithik to Preity to Om Puri sir, and so many more. Was it challenging to pull off such a big ensemble?
Good afternoon, everybody. So I think I must add that when Farhan said that we all grew during Laksh, we all literally grew, but I also lost a lot of hair during that time. So if I see photographs from then till now, that's the. But anyway, coming back to your question, I mean, yeah, I think the casting process is not only something which is my decision or it's ours. I think it's once you see those characters which were written, you know, it's a lot to do with Farhan, because he has to bring those characters to life. So I think, but most of the actors, for any of those roles which we went to, all of them instantly, I think, connected, because there was a kind of an, like, you know, instinct which you have. There's a instant connect to that character. So I think all the people we went to play those parts all came in. So I think a lot of that had to do with the script, the way Javed uncle had written it. It was also the conviction of what Farhan was portraying to them as the vision of the film, how he was looking at it, the treatment. So I think it's more of a collaborative, combined effort, and that's what filmmaking is, right? It's not only one person. It is one person's vision, but it's a collaborative effort of a lot of other people coming together.
True, but I think the results are phenomenal. I think it deserves every bit of love that it
We
gets.
were glad to find the perfect actors to come and complete those characters.
Absolutely. And when we talk of Hrithik Roshan in this film, how did you imagine him for the part of Karan? Because he was doing all the rom-coms at that point of time, early days of his career, and then comes a film like Laksh, which showed a new side of Hrithik to everyone, and everyone was surprised when they watch it. So,
Yeah, you know, I've known Hrithik since we were kids, and he always wanted to act. We enjoyed the same movies growing up. We would speak about the same films. When I remember जब मैंने कहो ना प्यार है का एक ट्रायल शो देखा था, I was absolutely blown away by him and what he had done in that movie. And I had made it like a little thing in my head that if I'm doing another film and it's possible for me to cast him, I would like to work with him. ये role जो है, he was the right age for it. I felt that the films that he had done leading up to it, they had not tapped into this side of his personality at all. You know, the more he was playing characters, but he was playing them in a larger than life kind of film mainstream way. You know, he wasn't given an opportunity to really be his vulnerable self, to be his insecure self, to be someone who's still wondering that, you know, yaar, matlab, my film has to become a hit, but now what? You know, so he was going through a very similar phase at that time, and I feel that he was absolutely... Characters end up finding the right actor. Yeah. I genuinely believe that. You know, like we've taken scripts to 100 people, 99 people have said no to playing a part. The 100th person says yes, and you realize when that person comes on with the energy that he or she brings, that that person is absolutely meant to have played this part. So that's something that happened with him. I mean, we went to him first. I'm really glad that he got into it and he said yes. But I cannot imagine anybody else having played that part with the kind of nuance, sophistication, जो ठहराव जो बोलते हैं, जो है सब जो था उस character में required. He's done everything in it, and it couldn't be better.
Absolutely. But, you know, I was reading this on IMDb as a trivia. I believe you wanted to make Dil Chahta Hai with Hrithik once and Amir Khan for Laksh. How did this swap happen?
No, the swap never happened with Amir Khan for Laksh. Laksh was always written from the time that we started developing it into a screenplay. It was very clear in my head that I want to meet Hrithik with this film. But with Dil Chahta Hai, 100%. जब मैंने वो कहानी पिच करना शुरू की थी, तो the three people that I had in mind, given the age of the characters, given also for me in some level, I was being a little bit lazy, you know, so in terms of accessibility to me that I can meet the मेरे दोस्त ही हैं यार, मैं पहुंच जाता हूँ उनके घर पे. तो like I told you, मैंने कहो ना प्यारे देखी थी. I thought Hrithik was outstanding in the film, so I spoke to him about Dil Chahta Hai. I spoke to Abhishek about Dil Chahta Hai as well. But somehow they had other plans for the kind of movies that they wanted to do, and there's no judgment here, to each their own. So we couldn't collaborate on that film, but this was the one, I guess, that was meant to be, you know, so it happened.
Absolutely. My next is a question for both of you. Laksh starts with a dialogue of Amit ji where he says that जब तक चीज़ें perfect नहीं होती अच्छी नहीं लगती. As a director, producer, actor, musician, and as a producer, how much do you crave for perfection when you're working?
एक हमारी जो इसे फर्स्ट फिल्म थी ना दिल चाहता है, उसमें भी एक लाइन था, परफेक्शन को इम्प्रूव करना मुश्किल है. But no, so in terms of not, I mean, it's not aiming for.
मैं अभी इस perfection के लिए superstitious होने वाला, हर फिल्म में एक dialogue डालूंगा perfection के बारे में.
No, I mean, it's not aiming for perfection. I think it's aiming to give the best to what that script demands. And that's, if you continue believing in that, like what Farhan was saying, it's the, like whoever you feel is the right person for it, and you'll go to that. Maybe the person will say yes or no, but you'll still believe in what you want to do and how you want to do it. And I think if you stick to that path and be honest, and that's what we follow in all our films. And that's not only true to people in front of the camera, it's also behind, about the right, like in a film, why would you take this person as a DOP? So, or why would you take an X person for a different technical job? So I think as long as you stay focused on about what is it that you're trying to say, the story, and find the right people so they have a similar vision to the voice which the director has, is to stay on that track. So it's not trying to be perfect, just trying to do what's right and best for that script. And that's what I think we continue believing in, whether it's for the actors you cast to the characters or the technicians you collaborate with.
And Farhan, for you?
No, I completely agree with Ritesh. Also, I don't believe there's any such thing, at least in art, as perfect. I don't believe that. I feel that you try your best. You motivate everybody to give their best. And that's all you can hope for. If something feels perfect, not that it is, but if something feels perfect, that only happens when the audience makes it. It's not what you do, because it's working for you in a way that only you can understand. So then that feels perfect to you. But otherwise, there's no such thing as perfection.
I was reading one of Hrithik's interview in the 2000s, where he was asked by a journalist that if there was one thing which he wished was different in Laksh, and he joked saying that my hairstyle and Preeti's hairstyle.
I will have to agree with Hrithik. I never disagree with him.
But if you have to make Laksh differently today, what would you want to change?
किसी ने पूछा था मुझसे क्या चेंज करना चाहेंगे, मैंने कहा ऑडियंस 3 times a day. But नहीं, I don't think anything. चीज़ें जब बन जाती हैं, they are best. I personally feel left the way they are. It felt right at that time. We made the right decisions, given everything that we had, the best decisions at that time. So abhi to look at it with a magnifying glass 20 years later and start picking out things, I think is not constructive. There is things to learn from that you can apply going forward, but there is nothing that I would ever change in this film. This film is exactly how it was intended to be.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry, and also the fact that actually you go to see that 20 years later, you're all still here watching it in a theatre, and there's a release of the film happening. That means obviously it was right to what was meant to be.
It has stayed the test of times, basically. That's what, yeah. The film has inspired an entire generation. Like, there have been so many army officers who have been inspired by the film to enroll themselves in the army. Is this validation, much beyond any numbers? When you see that a film leaves such an impact?
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. I remember, that somebody just mentioned that audience thing. That's nice and funny, and it was a joke at the time. But the fact of the matter is that I genuinely was saddened by the fact that it didn't perform at the box office the way I imagined or hoped that it would. Being very absolutely frank, I was semi-depressed because of it. And I kept wondering that, why didn't it work? Why didn't it work beyond what where it's reached? We worked so hard because ज़िंदगी में आपको सिखाया जाता है कि आप मतलब हार्ड वर्क करोगे, दिल से काम करोगे, you know what I mean, that 100% you will be successful. So I was like, अरे यार मैंने वो सब कुछ कर लिया. Why didn't this happen with this film? But of course then you move on, you pick yourself up और आप दूसरे फिल्में बनाते हो और life moves on. और ये सक्सेस का की जो मीनिंग है वो 2017 में मुझे समझ में आई कि 2017 में मैं देहरादून में गया था एक कॉन्सर्ट करने विथ माई बैंड. आई हैड नॉट बिन बैक सिंस वी शॉट लक्ष्य. तो मैंने उन्हें एक फ़ोन किया और कहा कि आई एम गोइंग टू बी विजिटिंग देहरादून, आई वुड लाइक टू कम टू द IMA एंड विजिट अगेन बिकॉज आई हैवंट बिन बैक. सो दे वर वेरी ग्रेशियस. They organized for me someone to meet me, receive me, take me around, show me all the places that we shot at and also to the new places that they had made. और उन्होंने एक after we had left एक they had created a new officers mess or cadets mess called the Vikram Batra mess. तो मैं वहाँ excuse me, तो मैं वहाँ गया. There were hundreds of cadets over there. और उन्होंने कहा why don't you speak to them. Sorry, I'm going to digress a little, please bear with me. उन्होंने मुझसे कहा कि why don't you share some words of like inspiration about why you made the film and this, that and the other. So I said ठीक है. So I told them the story that which is a fact कि the reason my father started writing this film was that in 2001 Operation Vijay के ख़त्म होने के बाद they had built a Kargil memorial to the fallen soldier and he had gone to lay a wreath at the memorial in Kargil. तो वहाँ उनकी मुलाकात एक ऑफिसर से हुई थी, सीनियर ऑफिसर, जिन्होंने कहा कि जावेद साहब आप देख रहे हैं मतलब हर जगह इंडियन आर्मी के बारे में कह रहे हैं कि वीव अचीव्ड द अनअचीवेबल एंड वीव डन समथिंग दैट वाज कंसिडर्ड ऑलमोस्ट इम्पॉसिबल टू फाइट एनिमीज हु एट हायर हाइट्स देन अस. और वाह हर जगह हो रही है. बट डू यू नो अ सैड रियलिटी कि हर साल आर्मी में जो ऑफिसर्स के रैंक में जो लोग आते हैं दैट नंबर इज dwindling. द एजुकेटेड क्लास इज नॉट सेंडिंग पीपल देयर चिल्ड्रन इनटू द आर्मी एनीमोर. तो ही सेड अच्छा, तो ही सेड आई डिडंट नो दिस एंड इफ दैट इज ट्रू दैट्स वेरी सैड एंड आई एम गोइंग टू राइट अ फिल्म टू इंस्पायर पीपल टू जॉइन द आर्मी. सो दैट्स हाउ वी स्टार्टेड राइटिंग लक्ष्य. So then so I told the story to them in the IMA. So when I said the story, the adjutant who was there, he said, Farhan ji, I'd like to just say something or show you something. So he took the mic and he said to some hundreds of cadets over there, all of you who have joined the IMA because of the film Lakshya, put your hand up. And almost 60 to 70% people of cadets put their hand up. In that moment, I understood the meaning of success. That was the moment I understood it. कि not everything is a number at the box office. Films have an impact, have a reach beyond what we can imagine, beyond what we can understand. And that was the purpose of making this film. The purpose of this film had been realized. How do you quantify that success? You can't quantify that success. But to me, I understood then that, man, I was unnecessarily depressed all those years ago and feeling bad. What we set out to do, we have done and we have achieved, and I couldn't be happier.
Correct. I mean, it's incredible. The impact is even when like we posted on the social media about doing this conversation, and the response was phenomenal. So many people have been tweeting that the film should re-release across India, and I think just sometime back PVR Inox and Excel has announced the re-release of the film. So what do you have to say about this re-release idea of the film?
I mean, the idea of the re-release is somehow, I think it gives you an opportunity of bringing back these films which you think are timeless. There's a generation which have not experienced it on a big screen. And to, I mean, like I said, like, the emotion of what that film was at that point, that's how I was telling you, it stands true even today. Right? If people are liking it, adopting it, so it doesn't matter at that point whether the audience was right or wrong. It doesn't matter. Like, I think what Farhan also just shared, that story about it. And for us, there was another moment at that point, I remember when we were prepping for the film. And there was another film which Mr. J.P. Datta was also shooting, LOC, right? And then we learnt a lot because we used to keep going there for recce's to Ladakh, and they were, we were hearing stuff about what was going on. So we were obviously getting more and more prepared for and it was all, just remember, it was our second film, right? And to doing it on this magnitude. But the chief of the army, I remember that time, was General Vij, who gave us the NC, who gave us the permission to shoot, did everything for it. And I remember after the film was made, he personally, when we saw the film, there was, like in our office, if you come in, there are 3, I think he gave Hrithik, Farhan and me these personal kind of awards which they had won personally as army and gave us, which is there in my room even till today. So for me, that itself meant that you've done something right, because he said, and he told us this person that there's no film ever made which which was perfect and depicted the army in its correct light. And I think that's what really
Magic.
made it. Yeah, that's magic.
That's magic. And Ritesh, if we look at the growth of Excel, it coincides with the growth of multiplexes in India. If you see, the 2000s is when the multiplex era started, and that's when your journey also began. How do you view your contribution to this evolution of cinema?
I think what stood true when we started Dil Chahta Hai, right? We were 27, 28 at that point. You go out and tell your parents that you want to make a film. I had no idea of what filmmaking was. I'd never been to a shoot in my life, right? I said, but my friend here has written this script. I knew him. I knew what he could do. And that's how Excel was born. But in terms of just believing at that point, standing true, because that journey, right? You think of Dil Chahta Hai, those 3 characters. I think each of us have been at some point an Akash or a Sid or a Samir. You've been through that. And even today, if you ask kids, right? They all will. So I think it was constantly as you kept evolving, society kept evolving, you as an individual were growing. The stories we kept telling, I think, resonated to the fact of what we were feeling, what we could relate to and identify with. Yes, you're right, there were no multiplexes at that time. People were saying that Dil Chahta Hai would have come 5 years, 10 years later. But I think what it did was that it brought in an audience to cinemas which were not coming in. Right? It suddenly, I mean, there are so many stories from that film, and I'm again going back to that because there were these traditional distributors who would watch the movie. And we very proudly showed the movie where people would not show films. So we thought we have such big stars, let's call them in, show them what we made. And I think almost 6 of them saw the movie and left the film. They said, film kabhi chalegi nahi.
Dil Chahta Hai.
Yeah, and that's how the Excel distribution team with Anil Tadani started. So I'm saying you constantly, so you go with your conviction, you go with your belief, and as long as you're honest to stay true to it, and that's what we keep believing in. As and when we did Laksh, films after that, where those honeymoon travels, you did Dawn, you did Rock On, all those films were made with that same intention, irrespective. I think it was very much relatable to what at that point was in society, what was going on. And you kept going there. So I think we evolved as long as with the audience is evolving.
And that's resonating. Like the taste, the flavor is resonating with the audience through the years. So yeah. And Farhan, Laksh is an army-based film. It has been 20 years. Do you wish to make another film based on the backdrop of Indian Army? I believe you have something in the mind as well for some.
Yeah, we are currently in the process of putting one such film together. I would imagine that within a very short period of time, I would say maybe at the most a couple of weeks, we'll probably make some kind of an announcement regarding that film. But it is feeling really good to kind of go back and revisit mentally and emotionally that same space again. So I'm looking forward to it, yeah.
Even we are looking forward to it, I think. Laksh also had a very unique take on patriotism. How do you interpret patriotism back in the day versus now in cinema?
I think, honestly, if you ask me, a true patriot doesn't need to keep saying, I love my country. You can just feel it of that person in the way they behave, the way they carry themselves, the way they interact with other people, the way they treat people who may be lesser fortunate than them in society. Those are patriotic people. So for me, it was very clear, and I think this I get from my parents, I can't take credit for it, is that you have to love, of course, your country, you have to respect your country, you respect your countrymen, your countrywomen, but at the same time, you cannot be jingoistic. I think that's where the border is thing. I think there was a very famous saying, I unfortunately can't remember who said it, but it made a lot of sense to me. There was like, a patriot will love his country for what his country does. A jingoist will love his country no matter what it does. That's the difference, right? So you have to love your country for what it does, and you should be able to stand up for something if it's wrong, and you have to point it out, because it's absolutely the duty of every citizen to be involved in how this country progresses. You can't leave it to other people to decide. That's the wonderful part of living in a democracy, is that we have the strength to make the future what we want it to be. And that's what I believe about patriotism. It's absolutely love for your country, respect for your country, but most importantly, how you treat other country people, I think is that's, you can say 100 things, but your behavior and your actions speak way louder than words.
Like in the climax of Laksh, there is Hrithik who is walking on the peak, and when he hosts the Indian flag, I think even now when I was seeing, I got goosebumps seeing that. There's no dialogue, there's nothing. It's just the background score and him walking. But
You know, I must tell you a very interesting thing about that sequence.
Yeah.
That sequence is shot at a place called Varila Pass, which is roughly about some 17,800 feet above sea level. It was 4 hours away from Leh, from where we were. So everyone had to wake up very, like, almost leave the hotel at like 12:31 in the morning, because we had to get sunrise when we got there. So हम लोग पहुंचे वहाँ पर, set everything up. We only get that one sunrise. You know what I mean? You can't get a retake on a sunrise. So everything is set up. 3-4 cameras are set up. Hrithik is ready to go. And we shot this sequence. And everybody was, you know, on the schedule. ये एक ऐसा दिन था कि everybody was prepared. यार, it's going to be a very early morning, long travel. And just go shoot this thing and come back. So, you know, we want to get it done. तो ये हो गया, and everybody was so relieved कि finally यार we finished this part, now we can shoot around where we are only, we don't need to travel again very far away. और उस वक्त तो डिजिटल कुछ था नहीं, तो स्टॉक पे शूट होती थी फिल्म. द स्टॉक वाज सेंट विद समबडी टू प्रसाद लैब्स इन बॉम्बे, जहाँ पर दे चेक्ड एवरीथिंग. और वहाँ से एक रिपोर्ट आई आफ्टर सम 5-6 days कि जो एक सीक्वेंस आपने वहाँ पर शूट किया था वो आपको रीशूट करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज ऑल द शॉट्स आउट ऑफ फोकस. तो उस शूट का लक्ष्य थोड़ा ऑफ हो गया था.
But imagine, out of 149 days of shoot, that was the only thing we had to reshoot.
The only day.
Only day.
और मतलब everybody was so मतलब sad कि मतलब how can it be? So obviously जो travel था, maybe the humidity conditions, whatever, because we were there so early in the morning, the camera equipment gets cold, maybe the condensation had happened in some kind of way which none of us were prepared for. Right? So we had finished it and come back. They were like, उन्होंने हमें भेजा, so we saw all hazy. Hrithik ऐसे लग रहा है कि fog के through आ रहा है. You know, all this is going on. We were like, यार, this is horrible. We have to go back. So it took a lot of people to motivate each other to say, come on, let's go again. Because we could only then do it on a day off, because all the days were taken up with the army with doing other things. So we went back. But the beauty of going back was we got such a better day, what you see now. The first day जब हमने shoot की थी, there was no sun, because it was completely cloudy. So it was a very dull looking, overcast looking morning. But when we went back, we got him coming from the shadow into the light, which is such a gift. You can't plan these things. But somewhere there was some cosmic thing going on कि यार ये जो आपने शूट किया है वो इतना अच्छा नहीं है, आप लोग जाके कीजिए वापस. You know, so we got something way better. So, but yeah, you asked me about that.
Destiny, I think that's what, yeah. And I mean, the background score of Laksh, I think that's another thing. I think it's way ahead of its time. The way the sound design has been done, it's phenomenal. And you want to just, like, you know, you want to just believe how well does the background score increase the impact of everything that's happening on the screen. What do you have to say about creating that sound design and the songs as well, which have stood the test of time?
You know, I must tell you that Shankar Ehsaan Loy are supremely gifted musicians. और उनके बहुत हिट गाने हैं. पिछले 20-22 साल से वो फिल्मों में म्यूजिक दे रहे हैं. उनके मतलब बहुत सुपर हिट गाने हैं और होने भी चाहिए, because they are that good. But very little attention is paid to the background scores that they create. And their background scores, not just for the films that we do. I mean, they've done films with Karan, they've done films with Vidhu Vinod Chopra. You know, you must hear their scores. Their scores are absolutely fantastic. और वो दिल चाहता है का स्कोर हो, लक्ष्य का हो, डॉन का हो, there is an understanding that they have of how to juice an emotion with music or make it thrilling or make it, but in a way where it doesn't overpower what is going on. So, I mean, I give them full credit in terms of understanding. This theme of this has become the theme of Excel Entertainment. You know, we are so fond of it and it means so much to us. But truly, I mean, they are absolute magicians at what they do, and just bless them.
Absolutely. And Ritesh, you know, Farhan just spoke about the entire climax episode that happened. You know, in production term, this is called production nightmare. That you have to go and shoot again. How do you deal with such scenarios? Has it happened ever again where you had to, you know, go back and do something again? And how do you deal with such scenarios?
You know, I mean, if you go to see the whole process of what we do in filmmaking is inherently unpredictable. Whatever, like I'm saying, even while making it, there are challenges. Nobody can tell you that you prep for every film, right? But there is always going to be, it's not going to go your way. But that's inherently the problem of filmmaking. But if you take that in the right stride and work towards it, knowing that, okay, I'll do my best, but I know there is some googly going to come up somewhere. And that happens on every, you ask any filmmaker that, will you be able to, whatever you plan, will it go and reach the target? No, it doesn't. Something will go amiss, but it'll still work out. Right, so I think we didn't expect this. I don't think something like that has ever happened in the last 22 years to any other film. Where, and imagine for like person, there must be some reason that it happened to that particular scene, but we got eventually something better. Otherwise, you would have had a climax which was, and that time there was not even so much of with technology available that you could open it up with DI or do stuff with it. You know, so I think on a certain level, I mean, it is. These things happen with what we do. You just don't have to let it bother you. You have to keep your focus on, keep going, and you'll deal with it, you know.
But do you think Laksh can be made in a backdrop besides the Indian Army? Because it's essentially a coming of age story of a 24-year guy. So, like, what do you have to say?
I mean, a story, a coming of age story, of course, can be made in any field. But Karan Shergill's story, I think, had to be made in the Indian Armed Forces. That it had to be. For him to be challenged to a point where you have to make the ultimate sacrifice. That you're that focused, that you have gone from a place of just not knowing what your purpose is to having such a strong purpose that you're willing to sacrifice your life for it. That could only happen in the Indian Army.
And last few questions before you open up for the fans. Farhan, it has been, you know, when we speak of direction, everyone has been waiting for you to, you know, direct again. It has been 12 years since Dawn 2, I think 2012, yeah. What next for you? I mean, when can we expect you to pick up the camera again? I think Dawn 3 you have announced, so.
Yeah, so we start filming Dawn 3 next year. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I mean, things will I mean, we announced Jee Le Zaraa as well, so that's another film that I will be directing. So I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's been a long gap, but I can't complain about it though, because I was doing some wonderful films and having a wonderful experience as an actor on those films. But I do feel a very strong urge to direct these films now. So I'm very looking forward to them. Yeah.
So basically now we'll get to see 2 back-to-back films from your end as a director.
That not only my dates are important, you know how it is, na? दूसरे लोगों के schedules भी align करने पड़ते हैं. But you definitely will see these 2 films from me as a director.
Perfect. And Ritesh, what do you have to say about the lineup of Excel? What next for you as a banner?
I think right now the next thing which I can tell you is going to be on the 5th, which is Mirzapur, the 3rd season. So let's focus and put, like I said, one thing at a time. So that's the next one which is going. There's a lot of stuff. There's Dawn. There's a film which Farhan was telling you again with the armed forces, which we'll be announcing. Let us announce it before you announce it. Huh? So let's keep that. And
yeah, this guy, I'm telling you, something else is going on with him.
Yeah.
He can predict the future. Before it happens at Excel, he tells us what is about to happen.
ये हमारे साथ वापस जा रहा है गाड़ी में. You're traveling back with us.
Okay, and lastly, you have worked with Hrithik in 2 films, that is Zindagi Na Milegi Doobara and
Luck by Chance actually.
And Luck by Chance. वैसे तो Dawn 2 also there's a small cameo in it.
But that wasn't Hrithik, that was Shah Rukh in disguise.
Can we expect any collaboration with him again? Everyone has been waiting for that Excel X Hrithik.
100%. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we meet so often, we talk about this all the time, but it is important. See, there is an enthusiasm to work together, there is an excitement to work together, but it is also important that the film, the story be the right one. Yeah. You know, so we all keep each other in check. You know, because we get excited about something and share it with him, and then he'll have his point of view and you're like, oh shit, yeah, you're right. You know, then he'll say that film and this thing, will like, you know, this thing, like, oh yeah, you're right. So we'll find the right one. So the intention is 100% there to collaborate on something, and I'm very hopeful that within a year or 2 years, hopefully, that we'll find something we can do.
Wow, looking forward to that one. And lastly, this is one of my personal favorite films this year. That is Madgaon Express. I don't remember the last when I laughed so much in a.
Thank you.
It ends with the promise of a sequel. You intend to take it forward or no? That's a personal question which I can't stop myself from asking.
No, there is definitely an intention, I think, but the right person to answer that is Kunal. But if you ask him, he'll tell you yes. Will it be his next film? I don't think so, because that's up to him to decide as a filmmaker what he wants to do next. But yeah, when he came to us with that script, this was exactly the way what he had written is exactly what you see on screen. So he always knew that. I think he had that conviction and the belief that I'll do this. And I think with the love and what we are seeing, the appreciation of the film, it was so heartening to see that. I remember Anil, who Thadani, who distributes all our films in collaboration with Excel. He called me up and he said, after how many years, there's a film which is in cinemas and it is on Amazon Prime as well. Yeah. So there was still the movie in theaters, it was still collecting, and it was already available on Prime. So that, I think, define what that success of that film is. So yeah, so we will definitely want to do that.
Yes. And now we have questions from the fans. There are some who have given us their names, and there are some who we can take. Whoever wants to ask, so we can first pick up a chit from here. Ankita Singh.
I thought he was going to say 2 hockey sticks, 77.
Hello, Farhan sir. Hello, Ritesh sir.
Hello.
And I like to congratulate you for 20 years of Lakshya. And Farhan sir, I am a very great admirer of you. And you are a very amazing actor, director.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's very kind. Thank you.
Thank you. And my question to you is, Farhan sir, how do you balance your role as an actor, as a director, as a producer, and a writer?
As a director, I just told you 12 years to I'm not directed only. So balance, बहुत off balance हो गया. But I honestly, it's people who I've been working with and have been working with me. So first to start with, my partner of the last 23 years, Ritesh, a wonderful team, at Excel who handle other things. They allow the space and they allow me these opportunities to go off and do different things as and when that I want. So I'll always be grateful and thankful for that. मगर अगर आप देखेंगे, I never do more than one project at a time. So I'm either acting or now I will be directing. But that's basically it. I just love what I do, and when an opportunity presents itself that I can't say no to, I just go out there and do it.
Okay, sir. This is behalf of my father. My father has sent me a question to you, that you have acted in movies like Zindagi Na Milegi Doobara, Bhag Milka Bhag, and you have directed Dil Chahta Hai, Dawn 2, and today we are celebrating 20 years of Lakshya. And what challenges do you face as an actor or a director? And last, which gives you more satisfaction?
Please give my regards to your father.
Okay.
And thank him for the question. Honestly, every film, whether it's as an actor or director, poses its own challenges. Like we were talking about Laksh, the challenges that it posed when I directed Dawn. Apart from, of course, wanting to make a good film, there was a certain, the shadow of the 1978 Dawn on us. Because it's such an iconic film and it's such an iconic role played by Mr. Bachchan, that will we be able to do it justice? So we had that as a challenge that we were wanting to hopefully kind of live up to. And similarly with acting, every role has its own challenges. But the thing is that I feel anything, not just in film, anything that you choose to do, if you're doing it because you want to do it, because you love doing it, then somehow the challenges feel that everything is possible. You don't feel like it's hard work. You don't feel, yaar mujhe subah kal 4 baje utna hai for no reason. If you're excited about what you're doing. So I prefer to say yes to only things that I know will excite me, that when I have to really put myself in the grind, if I have to go through some kind of sleepless nights or I have to deal with certain things, that I'm not going to complain because I'm so happy doing and I'm so grateful for this opportunity that I got. So that's how I approach each film that I do.
Shivam Kulkarni.
First of all, congratulations on completing 20 years of Lux. Sir, my question to you is from the production side. I myself am a production student, film production student. So, as a producers, Excel has produced many mainstream blockbusters as well as critically acclaimed indie films like Fukre or Madgaon Express. What's your decision making process while which film to back? This film will make more money, this film will make less money, or do you just go by the story?
So, I think with any story or anything, I think what the process Farhan and me follow is, even if it's something which he's written, I think the process is simple. You need to, basically, whether if he writes something, he'll share that idea with us. There's a team in Excel, which is the creative team, which reads the script. There's a marketing team, which reads it. So what we do is we obviously take a lot of inputs from all the team about what is their reaction to the script, right? But the process of it is, do you identify with it? Do you relate to it? Is there some way there's an emotional connect to the script, irrespective of the genre, irrespective about the money? See, the money, I think, what the movie will make and what should be the cost, those are budget related questions, but on a story basis, do you connect with it? Because that's what it is. Is it something which talks to you? There are stories which may not, you want instinctively feel or relate to, but somebody else might feel it. But I feel what is strong is what is the emotion you feel in any movie, whether it's Madgaon, whether it's Fukre, whether it's Laksh, whether it's Dawn. What is it that makes you feel? And if that feels genuinely honest, you feel true, and you feel it is something you want to lend your voice to and make that's how we go and greenlight a film. Then the process about budget, then you'll do what is right for the budget, right? A movie may make 20 crores at the box office, or it might make 100 crores. What goes wrong is the budget, right? That's how a film fails. But it doesn't mean because a movie is done only, like for example, whatever Madgaon is done. But it's a success because of what the budget was and what the story was, So if you have to have that balance, but those all come in secondary. The first thing primarily is the story and the script, because without that, none of us have a job.
Thank you so much.
Next one, Nikhil.
This film is very special to me because whenever I feel lost or very, lack of inspiration, I always go back to seeing this film. It's my favorite film of all time.
Oh, thank you, man.
And thank you so much for blessing us with all these talents that, from Devendu. You're just working with all the right people right now, from all the, Pratik Gandhi, Avinash, and all these people. So please just keep backing these people, because we love all the projects you guys put out in web series and,
Thank you. That's very kind. Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to Superman of Malgaon. It'll be a really good show. I'm really looking forward to that.
Thank you.
My question to you guys is that you guys have worked with Shah Rukh on 4 projects till now. I mean, it's Luck by Chance. You worked on Dawn 2, and you've done Suhana as well. So can we see Shah Rukh again?
Also.
Yeah, can you guys see working with Shah Rukh again sometime in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's we'll find something that we want to work on together, and I'm sure we will. So, like he asked me about Hrithik, it's
Intent.
Yeah, that's what it is. You just have to find something that you can connect on with somebody, and 100%.
The father-son bond was very special, and the bond between Preeti and Hrithik was very special in my heart. So thank you so much, sir. Yeah. Thank you.
Rahul Sharma.
So my question is to both of you. Everyone has their own life philosophies and influences in life. So whenever a filmmaker comes to you with a script, do you sort of, because you are experienced, sort of influence the narrative or the script by your own beliefs, or you leave it all on him? Like, this is your film, you make it, we'll back it.
No, you have to support the filmmaker for their voice and for their vision. Every time I meet somebody new who pitches a script to me, or he narrates a script to me, I always imagine the roles reversed. I always imagine when I had gone to meet Amir, when I had gone to meet this person, and if they turned around and told me something that I didn't agree with, how would I have reacted? Because I wanted to get my film made. But they didn't do that. They gave me the freedom and the strength to go ahead and tell the film, make the film and tell the story that I wanted to tell. And I'll always be thankful for that to them, because it would have been so easy, for them to say, like, isko badal do yaar, do that, do this, that might work better, might become a more commercial ending, who knows, you know what I'm saying? But it never happened. And that, I feel, is something that I've taken from them, and I translate that and pass that on to the people that I meet who come to me for a script. Obviously, if there's some glaring screenplay mistakes, you'll point them out, and that kind of conversation obviously does happen. But at no point does it come to a place where you want the filmmaker to feel that her voice or his voice is being overridden by somebody else's, because then that defeats the purpose. Because fresh blood, fresh storytelling is what we want to bring, you know, to screens, and that's not possible to do if we tell people what they should be making. It's not possible.
Thank you.
सर माय क्वेश्चन इज कि जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा आप हमें गिफ्ट कब दे रहे हो?
अच्छा, पार्ट 2
पार्ट 2 या
जिंदगी मगर उसको बुलाएंगे क्या दोबारा? तो हम लोग ने यूज कर लिया है टाइटल में।
सर दोबारा
उसी वजह से नहीं बन रही है फिल्म,
सर
क्योंकि
देखिए
हमारे पास टाइटल नहीं है। कहानी हो गई है, टाइटल नहीं है हमारे पास, तो हम वी आर स्टक। इट्स द फर्स्ट टाइम इन द हिस्ट्री ऑफ फिल्म मेकिंग।
सर कुछ दिन पहले हम सब ने जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा थिएटर में देखी थी,
जी
तो सबने जिस तरह आज आए 20 साल के बाद,
जी,
तो 10 साल के बाद जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा रिलीज हुई थी,
जी।
तो सब उतना ही एंजॉय कर रहे थे। सो जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा 2 कब आप हमें देने वाले हो?
यार मैं आपको जोया का इंस्टाग्राम अकाउंट का हैंडल दे देता हूँ, आप उसे प्लीज मैसेज रोज भेजिए
सर ये मैंने बहुत
और
बार
बोलिए
mention
कि मैंने आपको बोला है कि वो मैसेज करें। नहीं, हम सब चाहते हैं कि वो उसका सीक्वल बनाए, क्योंकि हम जानते हैं कि मतलब बहुत मोहब्बत और बहुत प्यार मिली है, दिया है लोगों ने उस फिल्म को, और सब हमेशा पूछते हैं कि वो फिल्म का सीक्वल कब बनेगा। तो मैं भी उम्मीद करता हूँ, रितेश भी उम्मीद करते हैं कि जोया विल कम अप विद समथिंग। दिस इज हर ब्रेन चाइल्ड, तो वी लीव इट अप टू हर, बट आई होप कि
As
वो
soon
भी
as
आपकी
we
बात सुने।
leave from here, I will make sure I tell her this.
या सर बस एक रिक्वेस्ट है, सब खुश हो जाएंगे, आपका बस वो एक डायलॉग बोल दिया जाए कि अर्जुन तुम इस यूनिफॉर्म में बिल्कुल मेंटल बॉय लग रहे हो। प्लीज सर।
ये सवाल पूछते हुए तुम बिल्कुल मेंटल लग रहे हो माय बॉय।
थैंक यू सर।
Okay, one last question over here.
हेलो फरहान एंड हेलो रितेश। सर मेरा सवाल आपसे ये है कि भाग मिका भाग में मतलब वो बायोपिक, मतलब अब तक के जितने भी बायोपिक्स बने उसमें वो सबसे बेहतरीन रहा है, तो और मेरी वो फेवरेट फिल्म भी है। तो मुझे ये जानना है कि सर वो मतलब बायोपिक बनाने का ख्याल कैसे आया और आपको ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन के लिए कितना समय लगा उसके लिए?
जो ख्याल आया वो फिल्म बनाने का, ऑनेस्टली मेरा वो था नहीं। राकेश मेहरा जो हैं उन्होंने फिल्म बनाई है। जो प्रेरणा मिली है पहले मिल्खा सिंह के जीवन से, वो राकेश को मिली थी, उसके ज़रिए मुझे मिली वो प्रेरणा। लेकिन तो मैं बहुत खुशनसीब मानता हूँ अपने आप को कि मुझे उस फिल्म में वो किरदार करने का मौका मिला। इट इज़ एब्सोल्युटली, एज फार एज माई करियर गोज़, एज फार एज माई लाइफ गोज़, वन ऑफ द मोस्ट important events in my life, or I remember it very very fondly. What was the second part of your question?
ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन के लिए कितना समय लगा
मैम
आपको?
उसमें तो बहुत घंटे निकल जाएंगे बात करते करते, बट मेहनत का काम, इट डिड टेक टाइम, ऑफ कोर्स इट वाज हार्ड वर्क, बट वो रोल की रिक्वायरमेंट थी। और अगर मिल्खा जी जो जाने जाते थे इस वजह से कि मतलब जितना हार्ड वर्क बाकी करते हैं उससे ज़्यादा मिल्खा सिंह करता है, तो दैट हैड टू बी रिफ्लेक्टेड इन द फिल्म एज वेल, एंड आई एम रियली ग्लैड दैट दैट्स व्हाट हैपेंड, एंड दैट्स ऑल आई लाइक टू से।
Thank you so much. It was lovely speaking to you all, and congratulations on 20 years of Lakshya
Thank
again.
you so much.
And thank you for
And
giving
thank
us,
you again. Thank you so much for being here.
thank you so much for
Thank
giving
you
us
guys.
this film.